How to create an Angular app and set up Angular material. Make sure you install Node on your system if you haven't already, so this all works for you. Links to the resources and source code will be available in the description below. Let's get started. In Visual Studio Code, I'm going to start by creating a new terminal and more specifically a command prompt. First, I'm going to double check that I do have Node installed on my system with the command node-v, and since I have a version showing up, that means that it is installed successfully. Next, I want to run the command npm install-g for a global installation at Angular/CLI. What this is going to do is it's going to install the Angular CLI globally. If you don't want to install it globally, just leave out the -g right here. But in my case, I've already done this, so I'm going to go ahead and skip this step, and I want to go ahead and run the command now ng version to see what version of Angular CLI I have installed and to ensure that I do have a version installed. And in my case, you can see Angular CLI in big letters here and the version that I'm personally using, meaning that I do have it successfully installed. So make sure to run this command after you install Angular for the first time, just to make sure everything's working correctly. Next, I want to create a new Angular app, so I'm going to say ng new, and I'm going to go ahead and just call this app for now and hit enter. And at this point, it's going to take us through some basic prompts. I'm going to say no to zoneless. I'm going to go ahead and select SCSS today just to make it easier. No to server-side rendering. And then now it will start installing our brand new default Angular application. You guys can already see the app directory right here. Once it sets up our Angular app successfully, it will say packages installed successfully right here. We can see our app directory and all of the necessary folders and files. If you guys want to learn exactly how all of this works together, check out the link up top or down below in the description where I explain the Angular folder and file setup more in depth. But next, what we want to do is cd into our new app directory. So we'll say cd app and then run the command ng-serve to start up our locally hosted URL where we can view this default application on the web browser. Now you guys can see it gives us this locally hosted URL, so I'll go ahead and open this up. And as you guys can see, all of the default Angular content is displaying on our front end here, meaning that we installed and set up Angular correctly. From here, what I want to do is navigate to Angular material like so. Go ahead and click on this one, and again, this will be available in the description below. I want to click on get started, and I want to copy this command right here that says ng add. Go back into Visual Studio Code like so. Open a new command prompt. cd back into my new app directory. Go ahead and paste in this command and hit enter. And this will start setting up our installation, and I want to go ahead and say yes. I want to continue. And then you guys can select whatever default theme you want to use here. I'm just going to use the blue one. So I'll just hit enter. And now that will install the rest of our packages here. And now just to double check, this did install successfully. I'll navigate to the package.json, go down to dependencies, and you guys can see Angular material right here and the version that we're using today. Now I'm going to move this terminal down a little bit so we have some more space to work. And what I want to do is go into the src, into the app, and I want to go into the app.html. I want to select all of this code and get rid of it. Then navigate into the app.ts, and I want to go ahead and get rid of this router outlet import and remove it here inside of the imports. And before we start adding some components from Angular material, I want to go into the styles.scss right here. And since we installed material, this is going to be all of the default styling that material adds into this SCSS file. Now what I want to do is go back into my browser and take a look at our local host right here and make sure everything was removed successfully and no errors are displaying. At this point, I'm going to go back to Angular material, go to components here, and we can start using whatever components we want from here. So there's really a lot to explore, so I'm not going to be able to cover every single component. But let's go ahead and start off with just a basic card. So we'll navigate to card here, and you guys can see that it gives us an example of a card. And all we need to do is go to view code right here, and it gives us the HTML for this card. So we'll just go ahead and copy this, go back into VS Code, and inside of our app.html, we can just paste it here. And next we want to go back to material here, navigate to the TypeScript file, and we want to go ahead and copy these three imports up at the top. And then back in VS Code, we can navigate to our app.ts, and I'll just go ahead and paste this down below like so. You guys can see that the component is duplicated here, and we can actually move this change detection strategy up here into this import like so, since it's also coming from the Angular core, and we can just remove this import like so. Down here within the imports, what we want to do is make sure we include the mat button module and the mat card module to make sure this all works. Now, if we go back into our local host right here, you can see that card displaying successfully, but not quite how we want it to be displaying, because we need to go back to material one more time, navigate to CSS, copy this CSS, go back into VS Code, and in our app.scss, we can just paste in this basic code, and this will ensure that it displays the card correctly, just like this. And at this point, all we need to do is go back into our app.html, and we can customize whatever we want here. So if I want to say Kalman Web Design, for example, and then say learn more, I can just go ahead and change all of this code, and it will all reflect right here in our local host. And so you guys can kind of play around with all of these components here. There's so much different stuff you can use, and keep in mind, you can still add your own custom HTML and CSS styling if you want to. But next, I want to show you guys one more essential, and that's going to be the button right here. Go back into view code, and I'm going to go ahead and use these filled buttons right here. So I can just go ahead and copy this, go back into VS Code, and beneath this card, you can go ahead and paste in these buttons. And then I might already have some of these mat buttons imported, but I'm going to go back into the app.ts to make sure. So I have mat button module here, but what I'm going to do is go back to material, into the TypeScript file, and make sure we're not missing something. So we might need this mat divider module or this mat icon module, but I'm going to go ahead and check it out and see if it's working. So as you guys can see, it's working just fine without these two imports. So sometimes you don't need to import everything it shows you. It really is just a case-by-case basis depending on what you're pulling from here. If I pulled the entire thing, yes, I would need to import the icons for this stuff down here, but just for these basic filled buttons, I don't need to import these two right here. But now you guys can see that our card is successfully displaying, as well as our three example buttons down below. That's going to be it for today. I will be making another video soon where I create an entire front-end web application using Angular material, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But today was just a starter video to show how you can create an Angular app and install and set up Angular material and get everything going. If you have any questions or run into any problems today, reach out to me through the comments down below, and I will make sure to respond to you. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in another one.